Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. I am your runner, and welcome back to, I would say the Friday podcast, but he thought Thursday was a good day because, people don't work on Fridays.
Nah.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming back and joining myself and my guest this week on the show. And I need to check some stuff really quickly. I know, super informal and super not professional, but that's okay because it's Airsoft. So,
when is anything in Airsoft professional?
I don't know. Did I apply the settings? And it sucks with a 40-second delay because... Okay, I did apply the settings, and we are, in fact, live on the proper channel. That's always good. All right, updates for the channel, guys. I've got more gameplay coming. Usually going to be uploading like Monday, Tuesday. I have some more gameplay from LZ Airsoft that I played a couple weeks ago down in Fountain, Colorado. I also have some more gameplay from the third field of Go Airheads. It was a pretty good day. I came in there with my own bias. I kind of played is what it is. And tonight, I am actually sitting here with one of the members of the Illuminati. So, yes, the Airsoft Illuminati, because I am working on something and I want to make sure that everything is set in place before I actually start really talking about it, really being open about it. But this is Cameron Denney. And Cameron, why don't you, introduce yourself a little bit, talk about kind of your experience in Airsoft, how you got started in it, and go from there.
Okay. So, I'm Cameron Denney, again. I'm 19 years old, and I've been playing Airsoft for about 10 years. Most of my experience was indoor for a good majority of it, and then someone introduced me to the field that really changed my perspective on Airsoft, because at first I thought it was kind of a hate-filled speed pain game.
Yeah.
And then a good friend of mine introduced me to Kiowa Creek, which then later I went on to work at and be the head referee of. A lot of my experience was, the stuff you see, the bad part of Airsoft YouTube, 60 rounds a second, pain game.
This guy likes having stuff that's DSG shooting 400, empty 75 rounds a second, just go. He likes breaking gearboxes. That's his go-to build.
Yeah. I like to lay the hate. That's how it goes.
Honestly, I'm totally fine with those games. I was hoping that obviously, but Kiowa Creek burned down. I was hoping to get some big boy days out there.
Me too.
Where it was just straight up like 475, no minimum. Like rounds per second doesn't matter, just go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was hoping to do big boy days, but it kind of burned down before that.
Yeah. We were hoping to get one of those days going, and the idea was 500, 2.1 joules.
Yeah.
No engagement distance, full auto.
Just go.
Full auto, basically field 2 only, and just rock and roll.
Just rocking. I think games like that would be fun. I know a lot of people are going, you wanted to run your field that way? No, we wanted to have specific games for like 18 and up players that way.
Yeah.
Like big boy days. Like I love stuff like that. And I had nothing that would compete with that. I'd still rock full auto though. I'd rock full auto the whole day on 400 people. Yeah.
I used to be all about the full auto, and a lot of my guns are equipped for very high speed full auto. But after playing at Kiowa a lot and starting to go out to some Milsim events, I kind of switched to semi-auto for most regular play. And then every once in a while, when I let my temper get the better of me, sometimes I would start rocking and rolling on that full auto, and it tended to catch some complaints from it.
Yay!
So, but the idea is to grow as a player, and I feel that I've done that. So,
there you go. So, Cameron, and I have to read the thing that he sent because it's really long. And he said, I don't think he remembers this.
I've seen it so many times, and I still can't remember it.
So this is what he sent me that he can't remember. because he said, hey, I want to do this was after the Go Airheads video, and I invited people to come on the show. And he sends me this, and he goes, he messages me, and he goes, if possible, I want to do an overview of what events we believe have led to the decline of airsoft in Colorado, and then discuss why the decline of airsoft is such a travesty, as it is the reason our sport/hobby does not grow and does not allow more fields to open and generate a more diverse player base in Colorado.
It's a lot of fancy words.
Lots of fancy words for essentially what led to the decline of airsoft in Colorado. And I think I will say this. I want to challenge that a little bit, because the decline of airsoft in Colorado, I think you're thinking of, we're seeing a lot of the older players just get the hell out.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is we are seeing a lot more younger players. Do you have like Tourette's or something?
A little bit, yeah.
You're like stage fright? Because it's the first time I've seen you do that.
I bounce my leg all the time. I did at Kiowa.
He needs drugs. Anyway. So what do you think? What decline in airsoft in Colorado? First of all, what do you mean by that? Let's define that, and then what do you think has led to it?
So, in the stuff that I've done, now I haven't done extensive research, but in the research that I've seen, most people who try airsoft or become airsofters, it goes two ways. And this is not everyone. This is not a perma, but this is the statistic that stuck out the most to me, is most airsofters, like most people who, go buy a gun from Walmart, right? And then they get into it and they start buying, nicer airsoft replicas, are only in the sport for 18 months and then they put it down. And that is as of like June 2018.
Yeah.
And in my experience, in the 10 years I've been playing airsoft, it didn't used to be that way. It was either you bought a Walmart gun and never picked it up after, the first 3 weeks of playing with it, or you went in, you got in, and you were in for years.
Yeah.
Years and years. Like, it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but we typically said you're in for life. That's in some of some degree. In some capacity,
yeah. Whether you were still buying gear, selling gear, or just showing up to the field to hang out or whatever it was.
Exactly. So I think that's part of the decline, at least in my opinion. And then the other thing is I see that we're losing our older players, but we're not just losing, the people that are getting, old enough that they can't do it physically anymore. We're losing people in the middle, right? I'm on the younger side,
right?
Obviously, but we're losing people who are closer to your age and demographic.
Screw you. I'm not that old.
We're losing people who are like 28 to 35.
I'm not 28 yet.
A whole, what is it, 11 months?
Something like that, yeah.
But that demographic of our older player base, and the thing is, in my experience, you can learn airsoft. You can. But a lot of times the best, like the times when I've learned the most was when someone in that demographic came and was like, "Hey, go do this game with me, like be on my team and run with me, and I'm going to show you this little trick for this field, or I'm going to show you this trick for, here's how you clear a corner." And I don't see that anymore. Not as much. It does happen, but I don't see it as much anymore. I think that is kind of a cascade effect leading to players not playing for very long, because there's a discrepancy in play level. There's our older demographic that is playing well, playing aggressive, right? Kyle, we always pushed pushing.
Pushing and team dynamics and all that. And that's something that you don't see in a lot of other fields. You see a lot of lone wolfing in other fields.
Yeah.
The one thing that I liked at Kiowa is, for the most part, and some days you had it, but and some days you didn't, but more often than not, when people were on a team, we were all, before they called 3, 2, 1, go, game on. Before they called game on, it was usually, and I had been on both sides at this point, it was usually all of us sitting there going, okay, how are we going to do this? All right, so we're playing with 15 guys, and they got 15 guys. Okay, we need to secure the town, and we need to cover that flank. That we need to cover the forested flank. And so we're like, okay, what do we got? And we're like, well, we've got 2 saws. So we would send the 2 saws out into the forest with 3 other guys to cover the saws because of engagement distance. You know, you need to have people that can get up there and break that distance. Mm-hmm. And we'd send our 2 saws over there, and then like 10 of us would go over and we just occupy the town.
Hit the
village. And it was very much a team effort. Maybe not entirely coordinated, but coordinated well enough that everybody like knew where they were going.
Yeah.
And then obviously after you get shot the first time, you know, you'd kind of go and you'd kind of just go back to spawn and you'd look and you go, okay, where am I best needed?
And
go from there. And that was something that I really saw pushed a lot at Kiowa was the team dynamic. And that is something that I really love because I've noticed I suck lone wolfing it. I'm not good lone wolfing it. Yeah. You've seen this. But even if I can just pair up with one person, such as in like my anti-sniper buddy video, me and that guy like literally walked our way up to the enemy spawn and started spawn camping them. We were like, all right, we need to
back off.
And I think that was actually the first day that you and I really met.
Yeah.
But even just myself, and that's what I loved about the team dynamic when it came to Kiowa and just pushing that influence and just pushing that push, you know, like the whole team needs to push. And that was actually one thing in my most recent video I did with Go Airheads is we were like, oh crap, they fell back. Everybody push because we were on the third field's not quite built up yet at Go Airheads. Yeah. I think it does have potential, but they just a lot of open ground to cover, but everybody ran at the end. Everybody ran, everybody pushed.
Yeah.
And it was actually really good to see. And I was just like, oh, this right here, this is how Airsoft should be played is more in the team dynamic.
Yeah. Well, and originally, at least in the earlier days of Airsoft, teams were huge. Like people creating teams, oh, I'm with team blah, blah, blah. Or even, you know, I'm not necessarily on a team, but I roll with these guys who say they're a team a lot. And everyone pushed an aspect of teamwork because it got stuff done.
Yeah.
And I don't see that as much anymore. I see way, way more of the
lone
wolfing. And sure, that can be effective sometimes.
If you are a player of that caliber, and I know people are, I would say that you and like there's a couple other guys that I know, but you and maybe like Cursus,
yeah, absolutely.
You and Cursus and maybe like a couple of the CX guys. The CX guys I think all are phenomenal as just individuals.
Yeah.
But I think you and like each of those individuals people, you guys could lone wolf it.
Yeah.
You just have that player mentality. You run fast and hard. Cursus has a completely different play style. Cursus, if you lose him, you lose him.
He likes to sneak around.
Yeah, no, he likes to sneak around. And I have literally had it where I looked away from the spot I thought he was hiding in for a second, which he was. Mm-hmm. And then I look back and he's not there. And I'm shooting at him and all of a sudden, blow, and I'm like, I looked away for a second.
Yeah.
But there are people who can pull off the lone wolfing thing. But those people are just, they just have a sense about situational awareness. And they could be fast and hard guys like yourself, or they could disappear into the shadows like Cursus does, and he has done that. But yeah, that lone wolfing thing can work, but it's not like a team, and it's not as effective as broadly as a team can be when it comes to individuals.
Well, and the other thing is, okay, I can go out and lone wolf, but against, like, let's say against an embedded group of players, there's only so much fire I can put down. And while, I like to make my guns rock and roll, if there are 10 players who have an elevation advantage and they know that I'm there, there's no way that there's no practical way for me to lone wolf and take that nest of players out.
Yeah.
So teamwork is required. And I don't see that. And part of the, going back to our, kind of pulling us back to our main topic, I don't see the teamwork being taught or being pushed as much these days. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more of, lone wolfing. A lot of people who get into airsoft start watching a lot of like the very popular airsoft YouTubers, and a lot of times those airsoft YouTubers go off on their own. At least in my experience.
There's I will say this, I'll give the snipers especially go off on their own.
Yeah.
And they tend to be the more popular, but that's also a specific play style.
Yes.
That is very intrinsic to the play style. It's kind of being off on your own and kind of like telling. But I will say this, I've definitely seen like Brain Exploder, Jet the Desert Fox, Coco says no. I love Coco. Yeah, I love Robo, dude. Robo Murray. All those guys, I've seen all of those guys when it's not their typical like weekend skirmishes.
Yeah.
They really hunker down on the team dynamic.
Well, definitely.
Every one of and that's more milsim oriented, but that's the one thing is if you brought that milsim oriented team dynamic, which is what Kiowa was pushing for and what actually really started to boost Kiowa there before it burned. If you really that team dynamic, that idea really helps a player's experience, you know, and can really just boost. I mean, it can elevate a standard game from your typical skirmish to a hell of a game that you will remember.
Well, like, at least for me, this is from a reffing perspective because I've only ever played one Siren game, but the Siren games, I've had people. It's because you like walking.
No, it's because I could never find the damn thing until you guys finally left it in a stationary position.
Yeah. And
I actually got there and got to crank the siren. And apparently I saw it in my like gameplay footage one day.
I saw it several times.
Yeah.
When you were posting your videos of siren, I'm like, it's right there, it's right there, it's right there.
It was always like on the ground or something, and I just never I don't know.
As a ref, part of making games fun is making it not too easy.
Yeah.
So, like, when we first started doing the Siren game, the idea was I was hiding it, and you had to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not easy, especially if you guys have played at Kiowa. You know Kiowa's huge, and I like to, put that thing in random places. But once the other thing is like, well, you mentioned when we put it to a stationary spot. That stationary spot wasn't easy to get to, especially if there was heavy fire.
No, because it was actually real, and that's what I liked about it too, is because it was right in the middle of the field.
Yeah,
and both teams could mob it at the same time.
Yeah,
and it really depended on when you ran up, how many people, if you could wipe off their front lines and then move slightly past it.
Yep,
and that was a hard position to hold.
Yeah.
Because anybody flanked that forest area, they had a clear shot at you from it. And because you couldn't have your gun in your hand while you cranked that thing. Well, there was no doing that.
Yeah. Well, they could flank you from the forest. They could flank you from the other side going through those buildings. Not as easy.
Yeah, not as easily. Yeah.
But someone like Curses or some of the guys from CX could absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But again, back to our original thing, it's like I don't see that being generated in Colorado. Not as much. It
not
is
from fields, and so
far between.
And it's less on it's less player based teams and more just fields trying to get people to work as a team because I know I brought some games to Kiowa, and I know I was about to bring Peace to the Region to Kiowa, and even that was the game that made you shudder.
He's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to bring a game that was going to make people hurt at the end of the day. Just not from getting shot with BBs, just from the sheer amount of movement and engagement and ability to work as a team.
The amount of objectives and the style of the objectives would force people to work as a team and force people to move way more than most players move. He's evil.
Well, see, here's the thing: is I created a game that I knew was outside of my limits.
Yeah.
In order to push myself, because I see a lot of other people out there playing, and I go, I think these guys could do it.
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't, but I still came up with that game style because I was like, but that's what I want to do.
That's where I want to be.
Yeah, that's where I want to be, and that's why I created. And even you looked at that, and you were just like, what? And you want to get this done in 3 hours? They finally talked me down to getting into like a 6 to 8 hour.
Yeah. Like he had so many objectives. He's like, yeah, I think we could do this in 3 hours. And Everyone who looked at this went, Royce, you're crazy.
Tell me it couldn't have been done in 3 hours, though.
It could, but no one would ever want to play one of his games ever again.
Yeah, that was legitimately a run hard, go hard. Like, not even a lot of, like, shooting, but just constant moving, constant engagement, constant.
It like, for the way I would describe it, and this is going to sound funky, but the best way I can describe it is a speed soft level amount of running with milsim level objectives on a field the size of Kiowa.
80 acres.
So a lot of these you were deadpan sprint to get it before the other team, and there were multiple objectives like that.
Oh, and by the way, there were three teams.
Yeah,
or no, I think I only had 2 for the first one. The second one was gonna get nuts.
Yeah, the first one was insane, and then he took it and made it even more insane.
The whole plan was essentially to start with something that was relatively structured. And then slowly break down the rules to give more and more role play. And it was going to start with like this structured story. And then the structure broke down from structured gameplay into role play every story. And it was actually going to lead into the giant open world role play post-apocalyptic game that Kyle was going to bring on. And I really got stuck on the third one because it was really hard to figure out. But those are the things that Kiowa really made me go. And it was Kiowa that inspired me to do that because of that teamwork, because I noticed if I sat there and I just communicated with like 3 guys, and we went, hey, let's go this way. Me and 3 other guys could do work in a way that just lone wolfing it or just not communicating. Yeah. And you're right that I don't see that in a lot of fields. I really don't. I'm not seeing that people make games because it's always like, oh, go capture the flag or go do this. And it's very much a lone wolf thing. And there's not a whole lot of, and that's where like a lot of games that we had would either have medic rules, which I loved once we started doing full blown medic rules, or we would do kill confirmed style play. And any game with kill confirmed was instantly made people a team.
Well, because the other thing is we started building upon it. It's like we ran just kill confirmed and people were starting to work as a team. And I'm like, let's take an objective and make it kill confirmed, and people locked in, and we got that team aspect going.
Well, because you, especially with kill confirmed, for those of you who don't know what kill confirmed is, I don't know who's watching at the present moment, but if you don't know what kill confirmed is, it's basically if you get shot, you go down on one knee, you raise your hand, or you sit down on the ground, or you lay down on the ground, or just indicate that you are dead and you are no longer in the fight. If a friendly player comes up and touches you, you can go back in to respawn, and you respawn. If an enemy player came up and touched you, you were done. Completely. That was walk off the field, empty your mag.
Like, mag out, go off, reload, get ready for the next game.
You were done. And there were, and so it got to a point where you'd have 12 guys. Yeah. But you would have 3 teams of 4 or 4 teams of 3 going, guys, remember, this is kill confirmed.
We got to help each other out.
We have to be close to each other. So if one of us gets shot and we go, hit, and a lot of times a lot of people didn't realize it, and we actually, no, my buddies are over there. But we go, hit, and almost immediately as we would say hit, our buddy would literally pull his hand off of his foregrip and go, tap. And that tap meant we could go back. Yep. And it forced you could not lone wolf. You couldn't lone wolf kill confirmed at Kiowa.
There was no way to like lone wolf any of the kill confirmed, and even if we weren't doing kill confirmed, you couldn't really lone wolf any of our objective based games.
I will say this, that game that Phil came up with, which was that pushback drop the bomb. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know if you were there that weekend.
I don't think so.
So we started in field 1.
Okay.
And then as we got shot, we could have a medic come up and medic us. And
was this Phil's pushback, the infamous pushback?
Dude, that was a good game. So here's what happens. Right? So here's the rules, right? Team escorting the bomb, team defending. Yeah. Okay, team defending gets shot. They then have to move back to the next zone. Yeah. Okay. And then as the and the zone was decided by how far ahead the bomb was and stuff like that. We had medics.
Yeah.
So medics, we could be mediced as many times as possible. But if our medic went down, we had a 2-minute bleed out time, which I also thought was a great addition to that game because you couldn't just go back to respawn and then just run back up. No, you actually had to wait, and you could, in some instances, just watch the bomb just move. But you had a bleed out time. You had to wait. And so we get, and then Phil said, he's like, once you break the plane of field 3, I will go pop white smoke and throw it in the drop zone.
Yeah.
And the drop zone was probably, I want to say, about 40 meters outside, or 40 meters to the east of Tire Fort.
Phil, you're awful.
Dude, I am telling you right now, the last 5 minutes of that game, that was an hour to, I think that was an hour and a half long game.
Well, yeah.
But that was literally one of the most fun games I have ever played. The last 5 minutes, we got to a point where we're looking at our medic going, dude, we don't have another fallback.
Yeah.
This is it. If we die, we're out of the game.
Yeah.
If we hit our bleed out time, we're out. And it was like a 10-second. They had to come up and, give me your arm. 1, 2, 10 seconds, right? Yeah. One Mississippi, two Mississippi. Yeah. And I looked at our medic and I was like, dude, you can't get in the firefight. Yeah. I was like, if you die, we lose.
We're screwed.
And we kept him in the Tire Fort. And he goes, no, dude, that's what I signed up for. Another one of our players' guns went down. The battery died or something happened. And he was like, I'm screwed. And our medic goes, here.
Yeah.
And so now our medic's loaning out his primary. He's sitting back in the back. He's pulling his pistol. We have people protecting our medic. We have people fighting off the drop zone. Now people are dying. People are running out. They're grabbing people. Buddy bringing them back to the medic. And then they're going out and defending the drop zone.
Yeah.
And literally that team dynamic just exploded.
Yeah.
In the last 5 minutes of the game. I think I remember a guy going, oh, crap, I'm out. And I went, dude, buddy mag in the back. Because I carried that like fanny pack thing.
Yeah.
He opened it up. He pulled the mag, threw it in his gun. Pop, 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 and you just started going to town, dude.
Yeah.
And you just started seeing the explosion, especially when you've been playing for like an hour and a half, and all of a sudden
everyone
you reach that climax, and that firefight's right there. And their thing was, if they got shot, all they had to do was walk back to the entry point of the field that they were on.
Yeah.
They didn't have because they had different rules, because it was a pushback style.
Yeah.
The defenders won that game.
Nice.
Barely. Because the guys carrying the bomb, they actually tripped about 10 feet before the drop zone.
Oh.
And we lit them up, dude. And 10, 9, and we're like, and all of us just fucking light them up and just started going.
Yeah.
But I don't see that at other fields.
I really don't. And I guess,
sorry to make that such a long story, but I wanted to really get people into the excitement of that, of like, that was one of those games that you were just like
on edge the whole game.
Oh, dude. Well, and especially those last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like those last 5 to 10 minutes, you were like, I can feel the intensity of this game.
I can feel it in my chest.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the adrenaline's right, and all of us are coming off the field. We're all laughing and joking and going, dude, and then you did this thing, and then how that,
Yeah.
It was insane.
So those games were awesome. They always were.
Oh, yeah.
Another time that I saw that and I actually experienced that was, did you go to Red Sleigh Down?
No, I did. Bill did.
Okay.
Because Bill had the blue Santa hat, and apparently people started to recognize him and realize that he had a saw.
Yeah. We started targeting him. I'm like, go for the blue one.
Oh, yeah. And Bill was telling me about that. He goes, dude, he was at the first couple games. They didn't know. And then all of a sudden they saw that blue Santa hat, and they were just like, light him up. Yeah. And he was just, he's like, I became a target.
Yeah. But for those who didn't get to go to that or hear about that, so Red Sleigh Down was our Christmas game. It was a Toys for Tots drive,
which was awesome. I love that you guys did that. I thought that was so great.
And for Red Sleigh Down, it was supposed to be a this is super loose, but the idea is Black Hawk Down.
Look at Darren's comment. I had to load up before the show.
It's pretty good. But so it was supposed to be like a rough Black Hawk Down, Santa got captured kind of thing. And, we did it in 3 like installments, like game 1, game 2, game 3, and they were like 3-hour engagements. I have never seen. Now, granted, I've seen teams in like just a random team that's been thrown together coalesce into a good team, like what happened with your game. But I have never seen the number of people, because it was like we had like
there were a lot of people,
150 people on Santa's team, Santa's helpers, and then we only had like 25-30 people on Krampus. It was the enemy team. We were the ones who captured Santa, and part of it was Krampus was supposed to role play a little bit more, so we handpicked individuals for that. A lot of the staff was on Krampus, and it ended up being like, at first, before everyone started to like coalesce and figure out what was going on Santa's helpers, 25 of us were doing a pretty damn good job of holding them back. And granted, we were mostly more experienced players who were down for the role play aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, once that team aspect came in, it was a nightmare for us for Krampus, because 150 players versus 25-30. It was a nightmare.
Oh, and especially once they all start getting on the same page.
Oh yeah, and it was insane. Although ironically, Krampus did end up winning that one. We were holed up in the tire fort,
which is an amazingly defensible position.
Ironically, because it's so open.
Kind of, unless you close the two ends. If you close those two sides.
But even with the closed ends, and this is
and there was a lot of lanes to shoot in.
A lot of lanes to shoot in, a lot of lanes to shoot out. But what a lot of people didn't realize is that there's actually a place on field 3 where you had an elevation advantage, and the top on that's open. There's nowhere to hide.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
over there to the to like the southwest,
mm-hmm. Right where that fallen tree is.
Yeah,
you stand up on top of that thing and you just start raining fire in, and there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah,
but we were holed up in there with Santa, and Santa was Brett Snyder.
Yeah, I remember.
Was Santa, and we're holed up. And, we're doing the whole role play thing. He's playing along with it, and the Santa's helpers are trying to get in, and they hear all the role play, and we're like, "I'll kill you, Santa! Tell him to back off!" All that, right? And then they were about to breach, and we kick the gate open, throw Santa out. They start shooting, trying to hit us, and we just lit Santa up in the back. And they lost the game. And that's how Christmas ended.
But no, and like I said, so that's what, when you talk about the decline in airsoft, you're really talking about a lot of the camaraderie of airsoft.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like the player base, but the camaraderie that comes along with playing the game itself.
Yeah. Like, I have friends who stopped playing for, various reasons, financial, moving, all that. And I still talk to them to this day, and they haven't played airsoft in years.
Right.
What I say is the decline of airsoft is two things: is our loss of camaraderie that generates friendships for life, and
don't get too testy here. Don't.
Yeah, friendships and other stuff like that.
You're here. You're not a friend. You're here.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. But the other thing that I think is, because of that whole 1.5-year playtime that I was talking about, it's really, really hard to get a field started. And yeah, there is a pretty good contingent of airsofters in Colorado.
I know the Fort Collins community is completely dormant right now.
Yeah,
which is why I would be so down for somebody to get something in like Fort Lupton or even Hudson or something like that. Just that could bring back so much of the northern community. Yeah. I know young players. By young, I mean younger than you, like 15, 16.
Yeah.
They're just dormant right now.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about that is a couple of fields closed that were a little closer to Fort Collins. Yeah. But the other thing, at least in my opinion, is because of this, the influx of like 18 months in, 18, they leave. It's really hard to get something started because our community isn't growing right now. At least because we're hemorrhaging
we're,
people.
We're losing people at the same rate we're gaining people.
Exactly. So that makes it really hard to start a field, especially if and it's a business, so it has to be. But if it's a competitive market, trying to get players to come from other fields, which is it, with the number of people we have right now, that's how it has to be.
Well, and here's the thing is currently with the fields in Colorado right now, we actually have enough players to keep all of the fields we have open, plus one or two more, maybe even three.
Yeah.
More open, and we have enough players to do it. We really do.
We do.
It doesn't take that much to keep a field open. It takes consistently, I want to say, about 30 to 40 players a weekend to keep a field running.
So I'm going to disagree with you on those numbers. My experience at Kiowa, and now part of it is we offered an in-house tech, and we offered a store, which drove our numbers up a little bit.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. So 30 to 40 people a weekend, but you also have to have the store.
Yeah.
You also have to have the store. So 30 to 40 people doing entry fee. I would say probably closer to 40 people. Well, let me say, so 2 days a week. So let's say 80 people.
Yeah.
Let's say 80 people a weekend. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I meant 30 to 40 people a day. I apologize. Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
I meant 80 people. So it takes about 80 people or 30 people to 40 people a day.
Yeah.
And then they buy BBs, and they buy entry fees, and they rent rentals for their buddies.
They rent rentals.
Yeah. But I think we have enough of a player base, because I've seen some other fields, dude, and I've seen the number of people that can come out. But you need that field because there's so many people out there that they want that player base that it doesn't matter who you're running with. You can just get a team going like right then and there.
And then the other thing that I think is a problem, and maybe this is something that I see and people disagree with, but airsofters don't know how to market anything. No. They really don't.
People suck at marketing, dude.
And maybe it's the background that I have in marketing, but airsofters can't market anything worth a crap.
I've noticed that.
And
I've noticed that. The marketing for Kiowa was
that's funny.
I don't want to dog on the people because I knew the people who were actually trying for it. I will say this, that $15 entry fee changed the game for you guys.
Yeah. And
when you guys went from 20 to 15, and that changed the game for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other thing that I've noticed is a lot of airsoft companies do the whole word of mouth thing. Oh, it'll get passed on by word of mouth. And I get
No, because
but it doesn't.
Because and here's why nothing is passed on word of mouth anymore. Everything is passed on through Facebook.
Yeah.
And what you need is a good ad, and people go, "Oh," and they click and they tag people.
Yep.
3 of their buddies, and they go, "Oh," and then those people tag 3 more people.
And it expands from there.
Technically that is word of mouth, but it's not traditional word of mouth, and they're hoping for traditional word of mouth.
Yeah. And then
you need the social media word of mouth.
And the other reason I was going to disagree with the 80-ish people, we were shooting for 120. 1, to be profitable, to keep it open, and then 2, a lot of people don't realize this, but the prices on Facebook Marketplace, or not Marketplace, but like running ads on Facebook, which is where a lot of airsoft
they can get ridiculously expensive.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like $20-$30 every week almost for the level of reach we were trying to get.
Yeah.
And that was back when we were in full swing, and my buddy, who's literally never played airsoft before, was like, "Don't you work here?" And like, I don't tag him in airsoft stuff, nothing. And we had enough reach with that much money a week. But that's one entry out of all of them. You have to run that, and then
well, you figure for $20 a week, you might be getting one person to come in and spend that $20.
Exactly.
Maybe.
The other thing is people don't know how to build ads.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's a whole nother Facebook marketing thing.
Yeah.
That we don't need to dive down that rabbit hole.
We don't really need to dive in there, but you get what I'm saying.
So, essentially, I think the one thing that you and I really dove into and kind of dug our claws in is that one of the things that's really affected the airsoft community and the airsoft play in Colorado, and what's not allowing fields to stay open, is that it seems like a lot of fields are not pushing the games for the camaraderie aspect.
Yeah.
And that tends to be why fields just can't stay open. They can't. They're just not
I
there.
think that's part of it, and it's been getting better lately. But I want one thing I do want to bring up is a lot of times fields would be open to try and get money to continue to improve their field, but then they stagnate on the making improvements to their field.
I will say this: I've talked to some people, and I cannot confirm the number, and I'm not going to say the number.
Okay.
Because it's not my business to say it.
Yeah.
I heard the number that Go Airheads dropped on their third field.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big note. Have you talked to some people about that?
I have. I believe that part of that is at Kiowa, we did our own work. We put our own stuff.
Well,
they contracted it out.
I will say no, and they did contract it out, but I've been in those buildings.
Yeah.
They're solid.
Yeah.
They're buildings.
Yeah. They're actual.
They're actual. You can go in, screw some stuff up. Dude, we had 15 people probably on the upper floor of that second story.
And it wasn't.
And there was no sweat. I mean, it was professionally done.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they went in and they fixed some other safety issues on the field as well. And I will say this, and that kind of reinvigorated me on Airheads. I was like, okay, because I heard that number. That was not an insignificant number.
Not at all.
That's like, and I'm not gonna say the number, but that's new car levels. Of money that they spent, like new car.
And given from the pictures, I haven't actually played the new field, and from what you're saying, I would expect that much because of what they have out there. And granted, the field still needs some work.
Well, and here's the thing is, and I spoke with Ish. You know Ish.
Yeah. Ish is a great
guy, dude. Oh, dude, yeah. No,
Love
Ish is
Ish.
phenomenal. But I talked with him, and he was like, "Here's the thing. One, we were excited to get the field open, and we just wanted to open it to see people play." He was like, "We were just because it's like it looks cool." He's like, "But the other thing is, we didn't want to finish it because if
We
it
don't
didn't
know how
play
it
well,
plays yet."
yeah, we're like, we have no idea, dude. They were making." In between games, the refs were going out there with dollies, moving pieces of cover in order to try to make it more balanced.
Yeah.
And actively working on that. And I will say this. I think Go Airheads is improving based off of my last experience. I will have to go there again. If they keep improving, I think they can have a good player base on the field. Yeah. Which is my biggest complaint.
Yeah.
But I think they're moving in the right direction, and I had to put my pride away.
Yeah. Definitely.
This last weekend, I had to put the pride away, put the humility on, and go and just okay. And I still carried a lot of my bias with me that day. I probably could have had a lot more fun if I'd have been more open minded, but that's on me.
Yeah.
Not Go Airheads. That's on me because the fact of the matter is there were some really fun engagements that I got into, and
and seeing as you. From what you've told me, you had a pretty good day, right?
I did. I would say a mediocre day, just simply because I brought my own biases, and I probably could have had a great day had I left all of my previous biases here at home.
Well, and then the other thing that I'm going to put in is, in my opinion, the play gets better as the day goes on. Everyone in the morning, oh, it's tired. I came out to play. I'm, half asleep still.
It was the opposite with me.
Really?
It only because of I was gonna go out and play with some people, and then I was gonna play with Ross, but he ended up teching on the guys,
pulled
which
into
was
teching.
awesome. Well,
because that is Ross. That's
but
what he does.
did that to make a person's day, and I think he made that person's day. And
every time I've seen him do it, he does.
Do you know what replica the guy had? He had the tan version of my Masada, the old one.
Masadas, they always break.
Oh no, those ones won't. Those are the old school, really good gearboxes.
I know.
But hold on. Ross was apparently mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, wish I could have found you. And I was like, why? He's like, the gear selectors?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, he's like, yeah, finally figured out how to get those things in, right? I was like, yeah. Yeah, I know. He's like, those are a pain in the ass. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
I learned how to tech on that thing. For those of you that don't know, my Masada is an old Masada, like back when...
It's one of the OG PTS Masadas. Those things are tanks until they break, and then once you have to put them back together, you will hate yourself because that gear select levers, nuh-uh.
Yeah. No. But I will say that those gearboxes are solid.
The actual gearboxes,
Gearboxes, the A and K gears inside of those things, dude.
Keep in mind, I shatter Siege Tech steel gears.
I know
with my build,
yeah,
so
but
I'm
dude,
biased.
Yeah, but you're biased because anything that doesn't shoot 450 at 80 rounds a second, you're just like, nah, it's crap.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this guy wants things to just send out pain in a way like you're wearing the mesh mask.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna help because you're just gonna end up with those BBs just shattering and just embedding themselves in your skin. That's what this guy wants for his rep. And just fall out, just my face. Just walking out,
Funny
picking
story
out
about
plastic
being
from your face.
super picky about guns. So I did a HPA build, and at one point I had it like just rocking and rolling, and I'm like, it was doing pretty good, and I'm like, I'm dropping shots, and I'm like, I'm sitting there, and it's at one of the one-day mill sims out at Kiowa, right? And I'm dropping shots, and I'm like, I can't hit anything, and my buddy's like, oh, well, what's it doing? I'm like, I'm getting about an 8-inch spread at like 350 feet. And he went, shut up. And
yeah, that's this guy. He wants rifle ranges out of an airsoft replica. All right. I think we've dove into it pretty much. What's the decline in airsoft in Colorado is the camaraderie that the fields are putting out, which is something that's going to be on the players. And if we can help Matt, try to find land for a field, which I want to also tell people that please help us out, help us find land.
If you know someone or you know someone who knows someone,
a real estate agent, anybody, let us know. We'll open it up. There's a couple of people in the chat right now. If you guys want to come in, chat with us, ask questions real quick. Ask questions, any airsoft questions that you want. And we will answer them, or we're going to end it. So I will give it a few seconds here because there is a 40-second delay on the stream. So if you guys, anything you want to ask, anything you want to know, just ask away, and we will be here. I still have to do paperwork.
Oof.
I haven't done any of my paperwork today.
Who's in the chat?
Well, Bill is here apparently.
Oh.
So Convoy Bebop, what up? Darren, as you saw. I don't know if Casey Thompson's still here, but he was a minute ago.
Okay.
And then we have Chris Camo. I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, it sounds like some people are heading down to LZ on Sunday. So if I don't play with you on Saturday, which I really wanted to because I wanted to grab some indoor footage because I've never done indoor. That's one thing I will say, dude. Like, we need a good indoor field here in Colorado.
Yeah. There was a field. I absolutely loved the layout. It was awesome. But now I'm not going to name names. There was an indoor field that I loved the layout of. It was amazing. But the ownership and the people who ran it were
Colorado Springs or Sterling?
Sterling was actually really good. I'm talking about Colorado Springs.
Okay, I know the one you're talking about. Never been there, but I know the one you're talking about.
So they moved fields. They went from the old dog race. At this point, I may as well say names, but I'm not going to. They moved from the old dog racing track to some new facility, but the old dog racing track was, without a doubt, one of the best CQB fields I've ever played. And I've played like Tack City. Like, I've been to California for airsoft, and I've played their indoor fields. The only one I haven't hit is a game pod, and dollar for dollar, I will take the old dog racing track over Tack City or anything else in SoCal.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's such an interesting dynamic. The other thing is Dark Hall was awesome. So Dark Hall is a hallway that gets no natural light from anywhere, and all of the lights have been shot out. So there is no light. You have to have nods or a really bright flashlight. Or you can't see.
So just shit would just come out of corners. Oh, go crap!
Yeah, you'd go to peek a corner on Dark Hall, and if you were coming out of a door with a light behind it, you were screwed because they could see you and you couldn't see them.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty exhilarating.
Yeah. I was actually, so there was a long hall, Dark Hall was about, 75 feet long.
Okay.
3 doors.
That's a decent.
2 of them had lights behind them, right? On each end. But then the middle one, there was one here and then there was one on the other side. This one was like literally like a closet.
So wait, there were rooms on this?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the closet.
Oh, dude, that sounds terrifying.
It was awesome. So there was a closet here and a closet on the end. So I was behind the light so they couldn't see me. So there's door with a light, empty dark room closet, right? So you'd sit in that closet. I'd sit in that closet, right? People would start clearing this way or coming through this door, flap, flap, and just like fold back into the darkness. And then they'd come out, flap, flap, fold back into the darkness. Worked every time. The only way people ever got me cleared out, because there's door here, corner, and there were enough corners on the closet on the end that I could tuck into them. The only way to get me out of there was a grenade. That was the only way to get me out, because I had every angle into that room covered.
That's awesome. That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
Any last words before we end it? Because people aren't asking questions because nobody loves us.
Wow.
Wow.
No, I'm good.
No.
You got anything?
Yeah. Real estate agents, anybody that you know, we need land. We want to essentially open up and rebuild a field like Kiowa Creek. That's what we're going for. That's what we're looking to do. I'm going to reveal some other community things that I'm working on with this guy and some other people as well. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Cameron, wave bye. And I look forward to seeing you all next time right here, assuming I can end the stream in a simple and awesome, timely fashion. I look forward to seeing you all next time right here next week for gameplay from LZ Airsoft on Runner Airsoft. Have a good one, guys. Peace.